Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for those of you that are already jumping on live. We so appreciate you. This is another episode of Her Version. This Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Brenda Bourns. Brenda is a live event producer, sports marketer, entrepreneur, and prides herself in creating real leaders in today's ever-evolving world. Brenda is here to tell a crazy story about how she suddenly lost her right eye one night while walking her dog, and how that one incident changed the trajectory of her life. The definition of the word challenge and the word struggle shifted, and she had to make a decision as to how she was going to handle the shift with her husband and her family. We are here to talk about what healing can look like and the joys of riding a tandem bicycle. Welcome, Brenda. How are you?
Shortly after my injury, my daughter overheard my husband and I talking about insurance. Now, we have every insurance. We had the eyes, the dental, the health insurance. Our dogs got insurance. We got the car insurance, the fire insurance, the critical illness insurance. But the insurance that we have only covers you for full blindness. It doesn't cover you for loss of one eye.
Oh my gosh.
So check your policies, everybody. So my daughter, who was 18 at the time, overheard my husband and I talking about this because we hadn't heard back from the insurance yet. And unbeknownst to us, she goes and sets up a GoFundMe page. I find out 2 days later when my son's girlfriend comes over and she's like, "Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?" I'm like, "What's amazing?" I look over at my daughter. She's sitting on the other end of the couch. She starts sobbing. She's bawling.
Yeah.
"Mom, I don't want you to be mad. Don't be mad. Don't be mad." But I set up a GoFundMe page. I'm like, "Taya, I don't need a GoFundMe page." Like, I think of GoFundMe pages for people that are paraplegic or like, I'm like, "Taya, I'm going to be fine." I overheard you and Dad. You were talking about you don't know about the insurance. You always taught me to have a contingency plan.
I love it.
My mom is getting an eyeball.
Oh, I love it.
I didn't have any words because I'm like, well, she's right. As an event producer, I always have contingency A, B, and C. I always have a
Wow.
contingency plan. Oh my goodness. And so I was so overwhelmed by the generosity of vendors and entertainers and friends and neighbors and people I haven't talked to, and it's complete strangers that were donating to this GoFundMe. She literally went onto a website, typed in prosthetic eyes, did the conversion from American to Canadian, and put up a GoFundMe to cover the cost of my eye.
Wow.
And so I do have a very beautiful prosthetic that I'm going to share with you. So
wow.
it is, I think that they did a really amazing job because it's very much close to the same color. Now, this side of my face sits a little bit, because it's been pushed in.
Yes.
A little bit smaller, but everybody has a smaller eye. And often people can't really tell. If I don't tell them or they don't know my story, they might not recognize, except if I go this, because it might not track properly. But as I was standing there and being fitted for my prosthetic and going through that process, which was so incredibly fascinating to me, where they pour something like a silicone into your eye socket, they take the exact space,
Wow.
create a prosthetic eye, and then somebody hand paints it to match my other eye. And so while he's hand painting, I'm like, do you take requests? He's like, what have you got in mind? I'm like, well, I played a lot of sports in my life. My nickname growing up, because my initials are BB, my nickname growing up was B. I said, I don't have a tattoo on my body, but can you put one on my eyeball?
Wow.
You won't be able to see it, or you might be able to if I get really close to the camera. There is a little, oh no, you won't be able to see it. I'm going in the wrong direction. There's a little.
I do. I see a little dot. I see it.
It's actually a little bumblebee tattoo on the prosthetic. And I thought, if I have to give up my incredibly badass patch, I need something equally as cool. Now, it's supposed to sit in the bottom corner where no one would see it. But I think because my face is still healing, I just tell people I have a busy bee. It just floats around and it kind of sits in this corner. It's very funny. But
wow,
I don't take myself too seriously.
Wow.
I really don't. And I just.
How does it make it so that it's moving around? Like how come it's not just like steady?
Well,
how come it's going like this?
Interesting question. And so something that I learned is that after they took out my eye, which is called Fullenucleation, the surgeon makes a ball of muscle. And attached to that ball of muscle, there's like 4 little points that he puts on it. So when this scleral shell sits over top, it will track like a normal eye. It's amazing. So behind this scleral shell, I have a round piece of muscle, just like a ball, with little points on it, and the scleral shell sits on top and will track. So, but because my bee's not in the right spot right now, it's supposed to be down in this corner, but he likes to sit here, and my face is still healing, my eye doesn't track properly. So I know when I'm on podcasts or when I'm talking to people, and if I look in one direction, that this eye is not tracking like the other eye. I know because I've caught it on film, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. But I think eventually, as my face heals more, that my bee will sit quietly in the corner or in the bottom where people won't know that it's there. But I think even when I'm talking with people, they might just think it's like a little bit of mascara or something. Like,
yeah.
I did do one podcast, and this one lady was so fascinated. She goes, can you show us your eye? I'm like, you really want to see my eye? So I closed my eye. I can take out, it's very simple. And I put it up to the thing, and she got to see it up close. And she just thought this was the most amazing thing, because people think it's very funny that there's a tattoo on my eye. But some people misunderstand and actually think that I got an eye transplant and that I asked someone to tattoo my eye. I said, oh, I'm crazy, but I'm not, I'm not that crazy.
Wow.
So it's very.
So how long can you keep it in? Can you keep it in all day?
I don't take it out.
You don't take it out?
No, I take it out to clean it, but I sleep with it. It's in, but it's very easy to take out. I take it in and out constantly to clean it, or sometimes maybe some dust gets behind there, or, maybe I'm out at the beach and it's sandy and some sand blows in my eye. You need to know how to take it out. It was so funny because when the ocularist inserted my eye for the first time, they give you this little tube that has a suction on it, so you can actually suction the eye to take it out. And he goes, but you don't need to take it out. Like, when you come back in 6 months for a cleaning, we'll show you how to do that. Sabrina, I wasn't home for 3.2 seconds. I'm like, oh, I figured it out.
Really?
I'm like, I want to know how to take out my eye. This is my eye. It's like, I want to know how to do it. So yeah, I'm going to be honest. No broken eyeball is going to slow Brenda Bourns down. I will readjust. I will learn. I will try things. And I think from many, many years of playing sports, I'm competitive with myself. So things that I used to be able to do, I will continue to challenge myself to do again.
Yeah.
That's.
I love that. So, but I want to ask though, so like, I get it, but what was like the biggest challenge? Was there a challenge that you had to?
I think one of the biggest,
kind of like mentally, emotionally, with your friends, with your husband, with your daughter.
Okay. I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Okay.
My face, as it was healing, started to do the jig because certain muscles weren't, like something was off. And so my face, if I smile a certain way right now, it'll, yeah. So it was doing this.
Wow.
And it won't slow down until I kind of comment with my hand. So I went to my surgeon. Well, first I called my girlfriend who happened to work for my surgeon. And I woke up and my face was doing this, but much more violently than that. That was just a little trigger. It was shaking like it was doing the jig. And I had my daughter take a videotape of it and call my girlfriend Shelly, because she works literally for the gentleman that took out my eye surgeon. I said, can you call Shelly and just show her this? And so Taya calls and say, Shelly, my mom's face is like really jiggling. And she's like, oh, it's okay. Did she drink coffee? And she's like, Mom, did you drink coffee? I'm like, no. She's like, is she stressed? Sometimes when you're stressed, your eyelash will flutter. And you know how that is when you're really tired, and sometimes your eye just starts fluttering. And she's like, yeah, it might be a little bit of a flutter. And she goes, well, maybe your mom's just stressed. And it's okay. This is normal. So Taya gets off the phone and she turns to me and my husband and she's like, Mom, are you stressed? I'm like, no. Actually, yes, you two are stressing me out because you have turned into Babas. I'm super independent. I want to put you on a one-way ticket to Nipawa, which is a town about an hour and a half outside of Winnipeg. I'm like, you guys, I don't need you to jump. I don't need you to get me water. I don't need you to run into the bathroom to get toilet paper to hand it to me. Like, I will figure it out. I need you to just love me a little bit less because you're suffering.
Wow. Wow.
They had no idea that I was out jogging with the dog for 2 weeks. They had no idea. 2 weeks after the accident, I'm out walking and jogging with the dog. And then I would go on Facebook Live and thank people I came back to Facebook to thank people for their support of my eye. And so anytime I said, I'm going to show you my world through my lens, and I hashtagged it community eyeball, because I said it was their eyeball, like that I'm just wearing it, but they helped gift it to us. And then I just kind of went back into things that I do. When my family finally found out that I was out jogging every morning, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not telling you. There's lots of things I'm doing that you don't know that I'm doing. I just needed that. I'm super independent. And it's really hard to have people doing and I know it was out of love, but I was like, let me find my way. Let me trip on the stair. Let me, pour hot coffee on my hand. I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. So that was probably the biggest challenge for me. And another thing is I felt very, very grateful because I got introduced to a page on Facebook called One-Eyed Support Group for a whole bunch of people that have lost their eye, whether it was from cancer, whether they were in India and somebody threw acid in their face, whether there's so many different, a BB gun accident. And I was like, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for the incredible medical care that I have. And I felt almost a little bit of guilt. So I had to get off that page for a bit because there were people that were in a really, really dark place. And I didn't experience that. I didn't have that darkness. And then I felt guilty that not everybody gets the support group that I had received. Not everybody has that.